Welcome to Rock Book Show. I'm Kimberly Austin, and once again we're here in New York City. Hey, look who I found. Phillip Crandall, how are you?
Hello, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Phillip is the author of the 33 1/3 book, I Get Wet, Andrew WK.
Andrew WK's I Get Wet, which is just the most exciting album to me, and I'm just honored, and I love just being a part of it. It's very selfishly being associated with it now, but it's great, and thanks for having me on to talk about it.
You're welcome, and I love how you say Rita Stop. It's not all inclusive. This is not going to be a hyper-duper analysis.
Right, and a friend of mine put it best afterward when I was talking about it. He's like, it's one of those things with some of the books, there's some great approaches when people talk about themselves and their relationship with the album, and a friend of mine put it the other way, like, it's great when you use it as like, you wipe your shoes off at the front door and you talk about that, but then when you get in, you just let the album speak for itself, or try to as much as possible and try to stay out of the way. So I tried to approach that because I thought that's what the album deserved. The lyrics, when it's time to party, we will party hard, and that we is very inclusive, and there's no reason for me to get in the way of that. Just try to be a compliment to that.
You know, that was a great point that you made in the book too, the inclusivity of Andrew's music, yes. Andrew's thought process, who he is as a person. It's really cool to read that.
Thank you very much, and I will pass the compliment along to Andrew for creating that. For me, the album was always so exciting when I first listened to it, and I think it did take time for me to try to figure out why it is exciting, but I've always been drawn to things that are inclusive and trying to incorporate and include everybody. Revenge of the Nerds was my favorite movie, and there's definitely that vibe there. So yeah, when it clicked to me, like, oh, maybe this is why I really like the lyrics, which, you know, aren't necessarily, you know, people might not say they're the deepest lyrics, but they're so simple and incredible and rad in that sense. And I think it definitely took me some time to figure out that's why I liked it, but when it clicked, it clicked.
And I really enjoyed the early years of Andrew WK.
Oh, how could not, right?
Oh, right? And the quote that stands out to me, Andrew was a little bit devilish.
Yes. So
shades of what's to come.
Right. And it was, and that quote, just to clarify where it came from, that came from a professional, I can't remember if it was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but that came from somebody who spent a lot of time with Andrew discussing some of the impulses that he had as a teenager, which we all have, but that he sort of followed through with. And yes, that was the official diagnosis. Andrew's a little bit devilish.
But he's an incredible artist as well.
Yes, and I don't think he definitely doesn't limit it to music. And I think growing up, he was trying to just do things that interested him, and that entertained himself. And I think that took the form of sculptures, paintings, music, fashion, any sort of artistic expression. He was all about it. And I think a lot of people have that growing up, and it's just incredible that he had an upbringing both in family and friends that allowed him to, you know, help nurture that and allowed him to just do it.
To be Andrew WK. And I love the quote in the book too from a friend of his, I believe it was Toby.
Toby Summerfield. Yes.
Toby Summerfield, who said there's something Andy Kaufman-ish about Andrew and maybe even Warholian as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Warhol connection, that might have been his manager, just to clarify that. But what I think is funny about that is that it's Andy Kaufman, Andy Warhol, Andrew, don't call me Andy, WK. But yeah, there absolutely is. And I wish I could speak more to what Andy Kaufman sort of, I'm not an Andy Kaufman expert. I just know what I know, and that he just lived what he did. And there was always this undercurrent of sort of questioning why he was doing it. But that's just, I mean, obviously added fascination to it. So I can't speak to any more like specific examples of the comparison, but it's absolutely there. Andrew WK is a fascinating person who it's tough to tell. Yeah, I think if people really try to look at who he is as a person, who he is as an artist, and I like just sort of that blend that it's just Andrew WK, and I can't say that I can't speak to knowing it, that answer any better than anyone else, because we all are witnesses to this and celebrating this. I would hope, you know, people who enjoy Andrew are enjoying it because they feel part of that celebration.
And it's a brilliant creation of this persona, and I also like the comparison with Gene Simmons.
Oh yeah, that was a musician that Andrew works with, and again, the Gene Simmons persona as well. And I've seen him speak live, and I walked away just completely disgusted by Gene Simmons. So it's tough for me to compare that with Andrew, because there's nothing repulsive to me about Andrew. But there's clearly, you know, I think Gene wore I don't know what kind of paint it was, but there was a mask there, and Andrew, while, you know, decorating his face with blood doesn't necessarily have the luxury of, you know, putting on that facade or putting on that mask, but he and neither do I think he's actually hiding anything to do that. He's just Andrew, and there's definitely the white getup helps. You know, his uniform, his armor, if you will. I think that's what the quote was someone said it was his suit of armor.
And I have to tell you, I think if Dave Grohl had stumbled onto this idea first, there would be no Andrew WK. Dave Grohl would have stolen this.
I witnessed it. I saw it on the internet, so you can believe it. It was a photo of Andrew with Dave Grohl. So they were in the same room together. So that was that was important for me to see that photo.
Excellent. We've seen Will Ferrell and Chad Smith now. We can clear up the Dave Grohl, Andrew WK.
I just heard that they performed together. Was that
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, that was okay. That was a late night show. Okay, yeah, that was just a headline I was clicking through and
Yeah, you were partying hard. You missed it.
I was partying very hard, and I would have been partying hard watching that because Chad Smith is a great drummer. Chad Smith performed with Andrew when Andrew broke the world record for drumming. He drummed for was it 24 straight hours? He may have 24 hours I believe. And Chad Smith, Questlove, Little Bub, they all came in and contributed to the to the party.
So cool. I am so fascinated by the Steve Mike thing.
Oh yeah, Steve Mike is very fascinating. I don't know about
Maybe still confusing. I don't know.
Steve Mike is very confusing. What fascinates you about Steve Mike?
I don't know. I never even heard about it,
Okay.
and then to see how you were documenting it, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I think you were talking about brain cramps and things in the beginning. I'm like, this is a moment when I think I have to take a break for a second and see if I can put this into a timeline of some kind.
Right, and last night we partied last night with Andrew at Strand Bookstore here in New York City, and we had a blast. And someone was asking me about the section in the book where I guess as the curator of this party addressed Steve Mike, and I said it in last night that I sort of wussed out, and it's definitely not a wuss out moment, but I let a lot of other people speak to Steve Mike, and if you really study the book for what I say, which I hope you don't do. I hope you enjoy it for other things. But if you really study, I really don't address it personally. And I think that's because it's maybe partly not my place to, maybe partly because I have fun letting other people sort of take off with it. Because, yeah, it's very fascinating.
It is. And I love how he gives album credits to, like, the guy from the Rembrandts is like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And at least he remembered meeting him. And
That's true.
So there was that. And I didn't ask Andrew directly about Phil from the Rembrandts and whether what he remembers being the influence. But, yes, Andrew, whether it's influence or whether it's just it's inspiration that he finds from friends, he's very, very quick to show that to the world. And he does do that in the album credits. He thanks a lot of people that were very upfront about, I had nothing to do with that album. He just, that's an energy that he carries. And I think that was one of the quotes one of the takeaways I got from creating the book, in which, if you look at my acknowledgments, they're massively long. But it's also because so many people were involved. And, you know, when I was working on the book or in a moment of needing inspiration, there were so many memories and so many people who I was trying to channel the best of them to see get me through any ruts. And a lot of it brought me back here to New York City because when I lived here about a decade ago, I just made, you know, the best friends in the world. And it was always fun to go back to those memories and, like, you know, not necessarily what would they want out of this book, but what would they want out of reading anything. And I hope I channeled that. We'll see. I haven't asked him. I'm nervous.
Come on, you totally did it. It was such a fun book to read. So that's interesting, fascinating, funny. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. And you're a fantastic writer as well, which really made it even better trip. But I got to ask you one more question before we go. Please tell me about bronies.
Oh my goodness! I wish I could tell you more about bronies. I know I have a cousin who is a brony, and there's a sweater that he wears. It's a pink sweater with a hood, and it has the. Sorry. Bronies are enthusiasts of My Little Pony, and I don't want to say 100%. So let's just say 99.93%. I think are all male.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I think that's the thing. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So that is
required. It's the brony.
So it's not inclusive entirely.
Right.
Okay. But then, there were definitely. I guess the reason I'm confusing it, there was a My Little Pony convention for I guess the newer show is taking off with males, but at this convention that Andrew spoke at, there were males and females there. So I think that's why my confusion is there.
Gotcha.
Anyways, Andrew found inspiration with Pinkie Pie, the pony Pinkie Pie. And I can't say much about Pinkie Pie besides I think she has a party cannon, and I don't know necessarily when that detonates, but it does, and there's festivities galore that take place after that. I can't speak to how Andrew what he finds in that vibe, but it seems like a very cool vibe to be a part of, and they're very welcoming to Andrew, and there's Andrew's not the type of person to ever not welcoming.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Andrew was so giving with all of his time and insights with me, and I think that's because I tried to include him and tried to include the people that influenced and inspired him.
Yeah.
I didn't speak to any bronies besides my cousin, and he's younger, so he was just very excited to tell me about it, and I was just drawn to his enthusiasm more than I were any of the words he said.
No, but I can understand that. Yeah.
Do you know much about brownies?
No, I don't. And you see it now in TV shows every once in a while. It's something they'll bring up as just like a goofy thing or whatever. And with all due respect to the bronies, I didn't mean it that way. But I just found that story so interesting that he would actually go to this convention. Yes. But again, you're right. It speaks to him in terms of he will stay after a show and sign autographs forever. And he's just an amazing, giving kind of person.
Yeah. And it's the brony, the My Little Pony is very colorful, and I think there's just that color speaks to enthusiasm, which speaks to Andrew because he's very just 100%, and he's going to give the My Little Pony enthusiasts 100%.
Yeah.
And I hope one day that I may join them and see the My Little Pony light.
So party as an adjective, a noun, a verb.
Yes.
And
we will find the fourth heat. We will find how to use party in other ways. And I absolutely use it now, obviously more than ever. Yeah. But and I use it as just it's one of those funny things. I don't know if you've ever gone to a foreign country and maybe enjoyed some of the beverages in that foreign country and all of a sudden adapted the accents. Yes. Have you ever done that? That happened to me in Finland.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I was talking Finnish, and I have I wasn't trying to, but I think hanging around with Andrew and speaking to him and really trying to get inside, not necessarily his head, but just inside his spirit, it brings a lot of what people might consider Andrew out in me. And it might come across like I'm trying to be like Andrew, and it's a weird thing. I'm not trying to, but I can't help it. There's something so drawing and alluring about his enthusiasm that I can't help be excited about it and try to pass that along. And that, to call that a party is very exciting for me because I don't know, it's like spreading that fourth heat.
And let us not forget that Pitchfork had this at a 0.6 rating at one time, and then put it in the best of the 200 albums of the 2000s and gave it an 8.6.
Yeah, then I think a decade later gave it an 8.6. Yeah. I can't speak to. I think they were different people, so it goes to show. It's interesting because it's Pitchfork, so you think it's a singular voice, but it was two different. I believe it was two different reviewers. Andrew WK is he has deriders and he has enthusiasts. And I absolutely fall on the enthusiast side. And we were talking about this last night, music criticism and sort of why expend energy on music if you don't love it. And I think, I don't want to speak for Andrew, but I'm pretty sure that what he was trying to get at was, it seems like a waste of energy. Yeah. And in this case, there was definitely some journalists. I put my journalist hat on for some things, but there was no reason for me to criticize music because I can't find anything to criticize. There's just it's everything I personally love about music, and I hope that came through, and I hope that the book, if I don't want to say it's going to bring fans to Andrew. There was, I have heard one person say that they didn't get Andrew, but now they're given a second chance, and I guess that's all I can ask for.
Sounds like success.
To me, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. You did an amazing job.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Wonderful book. 33 1/3, part of that series, yes. The Andrew WK I Get Wet. Phillip Crandall, what's up?